Oh, we're live? Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. It is about 4:15 Eastern Time. You might be wondering what's going on right now, what the hell you're watching right now. A lot of you, though, are already prepared for it and psyched for it. What this is the official launch of the Football Betting Daily Network here at SBR Videos. The official launch, first show ever of the Football Betting Daily Network here at SBR Videos. A momentous occasion. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be having a live streamed football handicapping show every single day at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. There were some technical issues today, so that's why we're a little bit late. There might be technical issues in the future, but we are doing a live stream football betting daily show every day at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on Mondays and Thursdays. It's going to be a college football show hosted by Drew Martin with various guests. On Tuesdays and Fridays, it's going to be an NFL football show hosted by Jimmy the Bag, also with various guests. And then every Wednesday, we're going to be doing this show. This show is called Presnap Reads. Presnap Reads. And I'm going to be hosting it. We're going to be covering college football, NFL, CFL, and also with some rotating guests. But of course, we're going to have our usual stable of a very entertaining, charismatic, and of course, highly educated football handicapping guests that we have in all of our shows. Today, we were expecting to have Joe Gavassi as one of our guests, but Joe Gavassi had some technical issues, so he's not going to be able to participate. But scheduled guest, Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Bobano. You all know him. He is here. Tech stuff is all perfect, in perfect shape right now. Ian Cameron, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being the first official guest on the Presnap Reads show on the Football Betting Daily Network here at SBR Videos.
It's been too long.
Is it? Oh, is it? Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was. Oh, okay. I feel like Presnap is a little cooler. No, I'm pretty well tuned into what's hip and what's cool and what's on trend and what's off trend. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Presnap is a little bit kind of 2000s style. Presnap is very on trend. It just feels that way to me, right? No, I'll talk about it with the marketing people. I'm gonna try to sell them on Presnap. But if I have to do pre-snap, fine. That's no problem. Okay, I got you. Oh, pre-snap. I got it. All right. Anyway, Ian Cameron, thanks for joining us once again. It's a shame we were going to have Joe Gavazzi here. He was going to give us a bunch of opinions on college football, but we just had too many tech issues, so we're doing it just with Ian Cameron right now. But in future shows, we're going to have at least two guests every show. And of course, in this one, we are going to cover a college, NFL, and CFL. Ian Cameron, everyone talks about your CFL plays every week. Somehow they filter down to me just by reading Twitter or reading the comments on the Loshak in the Bag shows. You're a veritable expert on CFL, aren't you, Ian Cameron?
Games televised.
And we're done. And that's it. That is it for the first edition of Presnap Reads here at SBR Videos on the Football Betting Daily Network. No, I'm kidding around. Ian Cameron just froze up. Are we still live? I can keep this going. I can talk about college football myself. Yes, thank you very much. I'm getting a lucrative area. All right, we're having some technical issues, but that portends good things, I think, for this show. You know how they talk about it in Shakespeare. If the rehearsals go bad, the shows always go great. If the rehearsals go great, the shows always go bad. So we have had... Oh, Ian Cameron, you're back now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. All right, no problem at all. I could have done the whole hour by myself there, but you're back, Ian Cameron.
Yeah, CFL is a sport, Pete, that I've
Yes.
had great success with over the years. The coverage is great in this country. Every game televised. You're stay on top of injuries, changing situations with all these teams throughout the season, and I've been able to profit from it. And CFL gives me football in June before anybody else can get their hands on it. So that's always a great thing about the CFL, too.
I hear you. CFL is weird for me. I usually start out great and then tail off in the middle of the season. That happened again this year. I started out 10-0 in CFL, 4-12 though over my last 16 picks. So overall, I'm up 1 unit on the year in my official picks in CFL on Loshak in the Bag show. And I'm thinking about just not making any other picks the whole season so I can just end CFL on a positive note, up 1 unit. How are you doing in CFL this year, Ian Cameron?
This year's not been the same for me. It's been a struggle for me in the CFL. We're down units so far in the CFL this season. So we've got a long way, though, to turn it around. I've had profitable seasons, and I believe all but one since 2012. And I'm looking for a big second half of the season. And believe me, if I have the kind of second half that I've had in the past, we can turn this negative sign into a positive sign by the time November ends.
All right, sounds good. Well, maybe next week I'll try to prepare a little bit more for CFL and maybe have some picks for you. We'll see what you have to tell us about CFL this week. And once again, one thing we are going to be doing in this show is we're going to be, all the picks that are given by myself. Well, I track all my picks in the Loshak and the Bag show, so my picks won't be tracked in this show, but they will be tracked in the Loshak and the Bag show. Of course, all my football picks. We will be tracking all of the official picks from the guests. We'll use up to the second lines here at SBRodds.com to make sure we're using absolutely non-stale lines, up to the second lines. And we will be tracking the official picks. And, one little bit of bad news here, Ian Cameron, is that when I do videos and I track the picks, everything's absolutely honest. There's no lying. There's no fudging of the records or anything like that. So, I hate to be the bearer of this kind of bad news. But is that going to be okay with you?
That's okay with me.
Really?
I'm joining a website in the very near future where transparency and honesty and record tracking is first and foremost at what we're doing. So I welcome it.
Oh. Well, Ian Cameron welcomes it. All right. On that note, let's start out with what he thinks of the 4 CFL games that are coming up this weekend. We do have 2 Monday games. Some interesting stuff here, right? The Alouettes, a terrible CFL team, but they've covered 3 in a row, right? Not that bad for the Owls. Then we have a situation where Winnipeg and Saskatchewan off 2 straight up and ATS losses. Winnipeg off 2 straight up and ATS wins. And then we have 2 games on Monday. Edmonton, a very good team. They're off of 2 extra rest days, but the market seems to have a very good read on them. Their recent games have resulted. The final scores have been very close to the spreads for those games. What do you have for us CFL this week, Ian Cameron?
Yeah, this is Labor Day weekend, and that means it's a rivalry weekend in the CFL. You get these same classic traditional matchups on Labor Day weekend, Labor Day holiday in the U.S. and Canada. Winnipeg always plays Saskatchewan on a Labor Day weekend. Edmonton always plays Calgary on Labor Day weekend. Toronto plays Hamilton on Labor Day weekend, and we've got those 3 classic matchups in play. Montreal and Ottawa to kick off the week. The Montreal Alouettes are determining who their starting quarterback is going to be. It's been Antonio Pipkin the last 2 weeks, and he's actually progressed and gotten better with every start, reading defenses better, making good throws, showing decent mobility. Now, Johnny Manziel's returned to practice from concussion protocol. Mike Sherman, the head coach, has determined who his quarterback's going to be. But what I can determine is Montreal's defense is a unit I don't trust. Okay, they played better against the Argos last week, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson held them to 1 offensive touchdown. This Ottawa offense is a different beast with Trevor Harris, a great group of receivers, good running back. I think they're going to struggle. Ottawa's had success offensively against Montreal in the past. It's a lot of points to lay. I'm not interested in doing that. In fact, Montreal's probably got some value. I'm going to go over the total here in this game at 51. Montreal's given up 40 points or more 4 times in 10 games this season, a lot of them against good offenses, and I think they're going to struggle here defensively.
All right, yeah, that line has gotten bet up from 13 to 16, despite the fact that the Owls have covered 3 in a row. Total is right about where it was when it opened, 51 or 51.5 market wide, and Ian Cameron liking to play on the over at 51. All right, 51 minus 110. Is that it for you, Ian Cameron, or do you want to give a pick on all 4 games?
Yeah, let's go to Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. This is classic overreaction versus underreaction. We've got Saskatchewan with 2 straight wins against Calgary and BC. Very impressive with Zach Blaros back at quarterback, a defense that has been one of the better defenses in the CFL, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers suddenly scuffling a little bit after a nice little run. They got blown out at home by the Ottawa Red Blacks, followed that up with a bad second half and a loss to the Calgary Stampeders last week. No shame in that. Calgary, the class of the CFL once again this season. But I think this is an undervalued Winnipeg team. Circle the wagon spot. They were catching 3.5 earlier this morning. It's down to 3. I grabbed the plus 3.5 with Winnipeg. Unfortunately, it's 3 pretty much across the board now, so we'll have to take the plus 3 at this point. But I think Winnipeg's got an A game in them. I think they're better than what they've shown the last couple of weeks. And Saskatchewan now is in a different role. They were an underdog against Calgary. They were an underdog against BC, and they won those games outright. Now you're laying a field goal, and even a little bit more than that. Let's see if they can cover this kind of number. Rivalry game. Winnipeg, I think, is poised for a step-up effort. Take the points with the Blue Bombers.
All right. Well, we do use up to the second numbers here, Ian Cameron, and we will definitely be able to give you 3.5. Right now at SBR Odds, Pinnacle still has 3.5 minus 118, but we do use Bet 365 lines. They got 3.5 minus 110, and that's what we'll give you. How about that? How does that sound, Ian Cameron?
I always appreciate, Peter, when you do my line shopping for
Oh,
me.
absolutely. I mean, the good side, the flip side of being absolutely honest and transparent is that you absolutely always get to line shop, and you always get the best line that we can find for you for your record. All right. So there's two other games both coming on Monday. You want to break down those and give picks on those as well?
I'm going to pass on the other two, Pete. I'll probably sit them out, or I'll think a little longer about them. I probably won't be in action till Friday if I am on those two games. They're a little bit tougher games.
Yeah.
There's some injury question marks in both games with both Hamilton, Toronto, and with Edmonton for that matter. But those are two good games. And if I have anything, I'll probably post them later in the week on Twitter at Bobano.
Awesome. Bobano kicking things off with two official plays in CFL. The over 51 -110 in the Ottawa game, and Winnipeg plus 3.5 -110. That is a split line, 3 or 3.5, but still, Pinnacle, Bet Online, UWager, some other places, all still at 3.5. All right, Ian Cameron. Now let's move on to college football. We were going to do an extensive college football segment with Joe Gavassi. Again, unfortunately, we had some tech issues with him, so he will not be able to join us this week. But I was very interested to see what he had to say, because some of the games that he wanted to talk about were games that I either bet or was thinking about betting. The first one is a game that goes tomorrow. I don't know if you looked at this one, Ian Cameron, but Wake Forest against Tulane. Now, if you caught my appearance as an expert college football analyst at the IFBC, right? I was on that panel. I'm sorry?
Couldn't miss it.
Yes. And so if you caught it, you know that there are a few teams that I'm a little bit high on, a few under the radar teams. One of them definitely South Alabama. Another one is Tulane. Right? They've got that new kind of quirky offense. Their defense is going to be suspect, but I feel like they're going to be a team that's a little bit under the radar. Undervalued, at least to start the season. Earlier in this month, Tulane was up to about a 7-point favorite. I bet them at 6.5, so I didn't get the best number. Now, though, it's come back down to 6. On the other side, of course, Clausen is a coach for Wake Forest that I hate betting against. He always gets the best out of his team. Always tends to be coaching teams that are undervalued in their games. But so if this was in the middle of the season, I'd feel a lot better about taking Tulane here as a home dog. I still took them at 6.5. 2 weeks ago, I thought I got a bad number. Turns out that now I've gotten a good number, because it's now 6 market wide. What do you think about this? Is Wake Forest going to roll Tulane here, or is Tulane going to be able to hang close with these guys as an underdog at home?
I like Tulane in the underdog role. In fact, I like them plus the points here. Jonathan Banks and this triple option offense under Willie Fritz here at Tulane, I think, is going to have some success. Let's be honest, this Wake defense wasn't very good last year. They've lost some pieces going into this season. I'm not sure they're going to be markedly, if at all, better on the defensive side of the football going into this season. And they've got Kendall Hinton, their projected starting quarterback going into the season, not playing and suspended to begin this game. So it's a situation where they've got to go to another arm at quarterback spot, and it may be a little bit tough for him making this first start on the road. This is the kind of point spread role I like Willie Fritz in, and this Tulane program in. I think they have the challenge to win this game in outright fashion. So I'll gladly take Tulane here, plus 6.
Yeah, my only concern is that when you have a situation like this with an unconventional offense going up against a good coach, if he's got 1 week to prepare, that's when you're going to have a little bit of an edge as far as the element of the unexpected. Here, though, the first game of the year, Clausen has a lot of time to prepare, and that makes me nervous. Is that a legitimate concern, Ian?
That always is when you're facing a triple option offense. Time to prepare to really study and scheme against it. But from what I've read, there's been some ugly defensive practice reports coming out of Wake Forest that they're just not gelling, that there's mistakes being made. So from that standpoint, and again, a defense that was shaky last year, and I'm not sold on them being any better. Now I'm seeing they're struggling in practice to assimilate with one another. That's a little bit of an issue for me. Tulane going to be fired up. You don't get a chance to play an ACC opponent at home very often in a nighttime situation. CBS Sports Network, national TV. I think Tulane gives way, all they can handle.
Wow, so you've been reading about reports of assimilation problems on the defense in camp for Wake Forest.
That's right, and I think that can trump any advantages and positives this team might have from extra prep time.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm glad that I bet it at 6.5, and you know what? It is, I have a problem, Ian Cameron, with it, because I'm so risk-averse with my public plays, that I have a problem with betting plays that are leans, but I can make a strong argument for the other side, not having the proverbial balls to give them as official picks, and then they cash, and then I spend time in my videos whining and complaining about it. I will throw on Tulane here. I bet it at 6.5, but now the line is +6 -102, and there are no 6.5s available right now. I'll make that one an official pick for me. +6 -102. You're going to pass on this one as far as official play is concerned, Ian?
No, give me Tulane. Actually,
Really?
I got half unit on it, and if I've got a half unit, that means it's a play. So go ahead. Tulane.
All right, adding it onto your record here. +6 -102.
That's right.
All right.
Sign me up.
Let's move on to another game. This is another interesting one that I bet. I want to see what you have to say about it. Syracuse against Western Michigan. Another home dog here, Western Michigan. And I did take a shot with Western Michigan at +6. Now, we know that these Syracuse teams tend to do better defensively and offensively in the beginning of the year, and then they sort of really wear down later on in the year. But I'm thinking that Western Michigan, they've got they've got a great recruiting class that's going to come in. Again, that's probably something that's going to benefit them in 2019 or maybe later on this year. So I may be jumping the gun a little bit by expecting a big boost from Western Michigan in this game. But this is another spot where I just didn't quite see Western Michigan, or rather Syracuse, as being deserving of this big of a road favorite here against Western Michigan. I feel like it should be a competitive game, is likely to go down to the wire, and I did bet Western Michigan at +6. I talked about it in the Loshak and the Bag shows, but I didn't make an official pick at all on this game yet. The only official pick I've given so far is just one, the under in the Wyoming game, and that one cashed. But I definitely bet this one, Western Michigan +6. I definitely talked about it a few times in the show, and I'm thinking about throwing it on here as well. The line does appear to be headed just a little bit in Western Michigan's favor. It's 5.5 in some places, 6 juiced to Western Michigan in others. What do you think about this matchup, Ian?
Fascinating, because you've got some connections going on here, because Tim Lester, the head coach of Western Michigan, actually coached Eric Dungey when he was at Syracuse a few years ago. Dungey, of course, a dual threat quarterback, the starter for Syracuse coming into this season. I am not as convinced about Western Michigan's recruiting prowess since PJ Fleck got out of there and went to Minnesota. That was not a good season last year for Western Michigan. By any stretch. I think they struggled at times. The Broncos defense this year has only 5 starters back from a group that gave up 400 yards of offense on average last season. To me, this is a very small number considering the class difference, the level of athlete difference between an ACC team and a MAC team. And I believe Syracuse, after some struggles, after a ton of injuries last year, they can stay relatively healthy this year. Going to be an undervalued bet on squad throughout the season, starting right here in week 1. So I got to be against you here, Pete. I'm looking at Syracuse here, minus the short number on the road.
All right, but do you want to make this an official pick, or is that just an opinion?
I do. No, that's a bet as well. Syracuse -5.
Wow. Oh, yes, that's right. The Greek has -5, -110. All right, so you want that one, huh?
I do.
Syracuse -5, -110. Interesting that the Greek is taking the lead there, all the way down at 5 in favor of Western Michigan. But Ian Cameron taking Syracuse -5 the other way. All right, let's see. Then we got a whole bunch of other interesting games on the card coming up. Obviously, the Notre Dame-Michigan game is huge. The Texas-Maryland game is very interesting. A big line move in favor of Texas. Opened at -9, now all the way up to 13.5. I remember last year, I don't remember the exact game, but there were a few times when Maryland was just a big underdog, and I said, there must be something I'm not seeing here, and they came close to winning it outright. I need to refresh my memory, but do you have anything to say about this game at all? Texas taking a lot of money, and is Maryland, should they be this big of an underdog here?
This game will not be a bet for me, but I'll throw out a quick, brief opinion on it here. Obviously, Texas has taken money. Maryland's had a disastrous offseason in terms of being in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. The kid, dying with the overexhaustion, heat use, overheating on the football field. DJ Durkin being suspended. Matt Canada now being thrown in to the interim head coach role. The OC of this program taking over while Durkin sitting on the sidelines. So there's just been an absolute ton of just bad press on the Maryland team. And I like Texas a lot, but unfortunately, everybody and his brother, Pete, seems to be like Texas a lot too, as well. So that bothers me a little bit. And I'm not sure Texas is going to be that value squad, because it seems like everybody loves this team to take a step forward. And Tom Herman's second year at the helm here with the Longhorns. So lean Texas, but not be a play.
I'm not sure. I'm going to look into this one a little bit more. I'm not going to make an opinion on. I'm give an opinion on it yet, and I definitely haven't bet it yet. But my first thought is I'm going to be looking for reasons to maybe take Maryland. All right, so once again, you are watching Presnap Reads. Presnap Reads here at the Daily Football. Wait, what is it called officially again? The Football Betting Daily Network here at SBR Videos. Once again, the college segment will be every Monday and Thursday. Hosted by Drew Martin, and the NFL segment every Tuesday and Friday, hosted by Jimmy the Bag. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination between shows, right? I'm going to be finding out what they said on their Monday and Tuesday shows, so I can refer back to it in the Wednesday shows. Maybe I'll join in as a surprise guest on the Thursday and Friday shows. Who knows what's going to happen? But I have a feeling there might be a good amount of cross-pollination. That's very good for marketing purposes, Ian Cameron. Did you know that? Cross-pollination.
Exactly. I told SBR, whenever you need me to come on this show, it's like that old song, whenever you need
There
me,
you go.
I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. I'll be around.
Ian Cameron, the consummate cross-pollinator in SBR Videos. All right, so there's going to be a lot more coverage of this college football card in the Loshak and the Bag shows, as well as the Thursday show hosted by Drew Martin. But let's just talk about all of the many. If there's any interesting game that you want to shout out, or any picks that you want to make sure that you get in on your official record in this show, obviously the Notre Dame game is interesting. They are now a favorite. I did mention that I was kind of high on South Alabama this year. Not quite sure I want to take him in week one against a strong team like Louisiana Tech, but it is tempting. Of course, the huge showdown between Washington and Auburn, which has so much implications season-wide. Also, Alabama as a 25-point favorite over Louisville. Some people were suggesting that Alabama might be a good bet. Actually, the bartender at the IFBC told me that he loves Alabama here. So take that for what it's worth, but that is absolutely 100% true. The bartender that I was hanging out with, Booyah and a few other guys at the IFBC, loves Alabama minus 24.5, and predicted that the line would get bet up. So there's definitely some interesting games on the card this weekend. And then, of course, the Monday game, Virginia Tech against Florida State. I'm thinking that I'm going to be on the Florida State team total over on that one. I talked at the IFBC about how I think that the coaching, that Taggart is a great match for Florida State. Jimbo Fisher, I thought, was a terrible match for their style of play and the style of recruits that they get. So I'm thinking that Florida State might take a big and unexpected, or maybe greater than expected, step forward, offensively at least, under Taggart. So I'm thinking about a team total over with a Florida State. Of course, the Miami-Florida LSU game, very, very interesting. Open-ended question. Ian Cameron, any game you want to talk about coming up in college football this week?
Yeah, I'm going to add two plays to my college football resume, I guess you could say, for this week one card. I actually don't argue with your Florida State team total over play, and I like that full game over in that Florida State Virginia Tech game. But the problem is, I got it at 54. It's up to 56.5, 57 now. So I don't want to recommend a bad number right now to the people watching this show. But I do agree in theory that should be a higher scoring game. I'm going to go back to Saturday, two games. Let's go to UNLV and USC, 189, 190, your rotation number there. USC minus 26.5, the total 63.5 in that game. I'm going to take a long look at the dog there. UNLV plus 26.5 here. We've got USC at home. JT Daniels making his first start, a freshman quarterback taking over for Sam Darnold. Of course, is likely now going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets this season. And from what I've read, it could be a little bit of a growing process here for USC Trojans on the offensive side of the football. You know, the offensive line, can they gel to the level they did last year? Defensively, we know they recruit well on both sides of the ball, but there's some talent on that side as well, especially on the line that they've got to replace as well. And I like the mindset of Tony Sanchez, the head coach of UNLV, going into this game. He says, we're going to be aggressive defensively. We were far too passive last year. Pass rush was non-existent. We didn't get after the quarterback enough. I like that they've made a focal point going into this game of getting after the quarterback. This is a freshman quarterback making his first ever start. Let's try to rattle his cage. And then let's look at the spot for USC. This is a home game against UNLV, one that they think they should probably win in their sleep. And then they've got their big Pac-12 showdown, Pac-12 opener for Stanford on deck next week. So not exactly sure get full focus for USC for 60 minutes in this game. I think UNLV is an underrated team, going to be making some point spread noise this season, starting right here. I'll take the big number UNLV plus 26.5.
All right, interesting analysis there. It has gotten bet in UNLV's favor. It opened at 28. It's now down to 26 or 26.5. Although the Greek, interestingly, does have a lean that agrees with you. They are looking to take a lead. The Greek is down to 25.5. Pinnacle's at 26, but Bookmaker and a bunch of other places are at 26.5. And we'll make that one an official pick for you, Ian Cameron. UNLV plus 26.5 minus 110. Okay.
That sounds good. And one more to add is Navy Hawaii. We're going to look for points, and more points in this football game. I was thoroughly impressed by Cole McDonald in his debut start as a Hawaii quarterback last week against Colorado State. Pinpoint accurate, extremely mobile in the pocket, dual threat, the whole bit. Had great chemistry with his receivers. Didn't seem to have any issue whatsoever getting comfortable in the new Nick Rolovich run and shoot offense that they're running at Hawaii this season. I was extremely impressed with his performance. Now, was some of that bad Colorado State defense? Maybe. But I'm willing to think Hawaii can move the football here against a completely rebuilt and retooled Navy defense, which lost a ton of faces from that team last year. And Ken Niumatalolo, every quote that I have read from him is that he is worried sick, I should say, about facing this Hawaii offense. He knows his defense is rebuilt with tons of new starters all over on all three levels, D-line, linebacker, secondary. So I think it's going to be a struggle. But at the same point in time, Hawaii defensively, they gave up points in that second half against Colorado State. They got gassed. Now you got to turn around, short week, prep for the triple option that Navy's going to roll out there. I think they're going to struggle to get stops in this game as well. Got a reasonable number here, sitting at 62, best available number as far as I can see at this point in time. And I've got no problem going ahead Navy Hawaii to go 62 Saturday.
All right. Well, we're going to give you over 61.5, Ian Cameron. Actually, Pinnacle has 61.5 minus 115, but the Greek has just 61.5 minus 110. The Greek not quite going up to 62 as the rest of the market has. This line, of course, did open at 59, has gotten bet up. Its bet online is already at 62.5. Most places 62, but Pinnacle and the Greek still at 61.5. We'll give you the Greek number here, over 61.5 minus 110. How about that?
That sounds fantastic. Thanks again, Pete.
All right, so let's just review all the official picks that we've given so far, and then let's talk a little bit about NFL. I'm just giving one play here. Tulane +6 minus 102. Ian Cameron talked me into it. I'm definitely nervous about going up against Clausen, fading him, but I am kind of high on Tulane this year, and I'll take it. I did bet it at 6.5. I'll take it at +6 minus 102. Ian Cameron is on that one as well. Also, UNLV +26.5. Syracuse -5, Navy Hawaii over 61.5, and in the CFL, the Ottawa game over 51, and Winnipeg +3.5. Now moving on to NFL, Ian Cameron, of course, this is week 4 of the NFL preseason, so we've got a full slate of games on Thursday, preseason games on Thursday. There can definitely be some big value found in those games, but you have to do your specific research. And then the regular season starts. I've already made 2 picks for game 1 spreads in the NFL. We'll see what you have to say about those. But first, let's just start with Thursday preseason that goes tomorrow. I'm going to try to do some research tonight, see if I can find anything that I want to bet. And if I do find anything, I will certainly share it with the regular viewers of the Loshak and the Bag Show. You have any thoughts on the preseason in general or possible betting lines with value in the upcoming Thursday card tomorrow, NFL preseason week 4?
Yeah, typically, Peter, I do not touch the week 4 of the NFL preseason. There's a very good reason why. We are talking about point spreads and totals in these games that are going to be decided in the fourth quarter by the absolute dregs. I mean the dregs of the depth charts of these two teams in every game on that preseason schedule in week 4. And it is a virtual coin flip in my mind. You're basically betting a fourth string quarterback against a fourth string linebacker to make plays, or a fourth string secondary, or fourth string D-line. And it is just a dog's breakfast as far as I'm concerned. It's just you hope and a prayer, a wing and a prayer type of thing. So
it's that bad, Ian Cameron? I mean, these words and terms you've just been using are just horrific. It's that bad, or are you using a little hyperbole here?
It is, because starters are resting already, Pete, in these games. You're getting the second string players in there right from the get-go. When you get to the fourth quarter, which is winning time and covering time into these games, you're dealing with the bottom feeders on these teams' depth charts. Players that are probably not even going to be there, or maybe not even on the practice squad, for crying out loud, when the season begins. So it's hard for me to bank on and put my money on players that are that deep and that down off the team depth charts.
All right, Ian Cameron, not using hyperbole, according to him, with calling it dog food, all that stuff that he just described. Week 4 preseason betting. I'm still going to look into some of these lines, and I might have right now in the preseason. I almost had a great preseason. I missed one teaser by 1 point, which sort of shot my whole preseason. So right now I'm 8-8 minus 1 unit, which is okay. You know, I like to take some shots with the preseason here and there, and I might do so tomorrow. We'll see. So no official plays for you from the NFL preseason card tomorrow. How about week 1 lines in the NFL? I gave 2 plays, Ian Cameron. I did take the Giants at +3. The closer we get to kickoff, the more I'm starting to feel nervous about that one. And I also took Houston at +7 against New England. That is now down to 6.5 or 6. And I know that we expect a lot of money to come in on New England, you know, leading up to kickoff. So maybe that line will go back the other way. But I got a good number there, and I'm relatively happy with my bet and official pick on Houston at +7. I think I got -118 or something like that. Any week 1 lines that you like, Ian Cameron?
Yeah, I don't argue with that. I like Houston plus the points. I mean, that New England offense, it's a situation where they did not play that well, and they did not look that crisp against Carolina in their week 3 preseason walkthrough. So, you know, Tom Brady and that Patriots offense did not look in sync. Give Carolina's defense credit, but you're right, that Patriot offense didn't look crisp, not what we expect from them. So looking at Houston's defense looked very good in their preseason week 3 games. So no argument there. I'm going to give you one side and one total in the same football game.
Okay.
Week 1 that I like already. And it is a pure fade of what has been a dumpster fire Kansas City Chiefs defense here in the preseason. They have been shredded. They have been gashed. They have been absolutely pilfered here in this preseason by opposing offenses. We saw Chase Daniel, folks, not even Mitch Trubisky. Chase Daniel leading the Bears offense up and down the field against Kansas City's defense. Can't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. The secondary was gashed. Okay, they rested a couple of guys, but this has been a recurring theme for the Kansas City first-team defense here in the preseason, which has been a disaster. Every preseason game they've played, they are a bet against defense right now in every which way. The LA Chargers, Phillip Rivers, who's looked solid with the healthy Melvin Gordon, with the healthy Keenan Allen. It's time for this offense, I think, to make some plays against a defense that I think is going to struggle all season, especially early on. So I'm already looking at the LA Chargers. I see is out there at -120, -3, -120 in some spots, and also over 47.5 in this game. I think the Chargers will win and cover against Kansas City, and a game that has a good chance of higher scoring. So looking at Chargers -3, over 47.5.
Yeah, it is a split line, 3 or 3.5, but the Greek has the best line right now, -3, -120, and then the spread is also a little bit all over the place. Bet Online and a bunch of other places, the Greek are already up to 48, but Pinnacle is at 47.5 and slightly juiced to the under. So the best line on the over right now could be found at Pinnacle, which is 47.5 plus 100. Interesting there. Bet Online, sportsbetting.ag, and the Greek all leaning to the over right now, but Pinnacle with a pretty clear, very small but definitive lean to the under, at least as of right now. The over is 47.5 plus 100. Those are 2 plays that we're going to add onto your official record here, right, Ian?
Yeah, you can add them. Those are absolutely going to be plays week 1. A lot of the card is going to be determined for me for week 1 next week, which I'll be happy to report here on the shows next week. But for now, Chargers -3, over 47.5, solid plays for me.
All right, so if you're liking the Chargers -3 and the over, then you're definitely going to be liking the Chargers team total over, which should be about 26, 25.5. Definitely under 27, though. Anything under 27, you're liking the Chargers team total over, right?
Yeah, in fact, that might be just as good a play as the full game over, because the one concern with the full game over is Patrick Mahomes' performance in the preseason for Kansas City has been spotty. It's been very spotty. But I do think he's going to improve, use the time now between now and week 1 to improve. He does have Andy Reid working with him there with this offense to get him better. And I do think they're going to be able to put up some points on the board by the time week 1 comes around. So I like the Chargers to take care of business, but I still like the game over. And absolutely, if you or anyone likes the Chargers team total over, I wouldn't talk you out of it.
All right, and don't forget, in these shows, you can definitely give peripherals. You can give first half plays, team totals, whatever. Can't give a team total right now because they're not out yet. But if they're out, and I guess on Wednesday the team totals probably won't be out. We'll see what when they come out. But all right, so Ian Cameron definitely liking a big offensive game for the Chargers. Let me ask you, while I have your ear here, Ian Cameron, the New York Giants. They're an interesting team this year. I did give the opinion early in the Loshak in the Bag show that I like the Giants on the season win total over, which was 6.5. I've heard some other people agree with that. Of course, they're going to be healthy this year, which is a big boost. Big question mark is Eli Manning, and I thought that as a home dog in Week 1, they might have some value. But I have since heard some people disagreeing with that. The first person who told me that they disagreed with it was the studio manager, Sophia here at SBR. She said she likes Jacksonville. I was like, oh, because you're a fan? She's like, no, I just think they have a great defense. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Then at the IFBC, I'm talking with Donnie Rightside on stage, and I said, if I gave you a free play on this game, what would you take? He said, I can understand why you might like the Giants, but I'd take the Jags. I'm like, damn, maybe I'm on the wrong side here. Ian Cameron, tell me what you think about this game, and be honest. Don't let the fact that you know that I'm on the Giants color you in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I'll tell you what, in time, especially with a guy like Pat Shurmur as the head coach now with this New York Giants team, I will admit that I think down the road I have high hopes for the New York Giants offense eventually. But I'm not sure, Pete, if it's going to come in Week 1 against this Jacksonville defense. Eli Manning looked okay in that preseason walkthrough game, but he still struggled at times. And, they didn't score an offensive touchdown in Eli Manning's 3 quarters in that football game. He was okay. I mean, 17 to 23, but a lot of it was dink and dunk. Now, they don't have Odell Beckham in that game. Saquon Barkley didn't play there very much. Their first round draft pick running back, who I think is going to be a tremendous running back and have a great career in this league. But I want to wait to see these two guys, OBJ and Saquon Barkley, get integrated in this Giants offense and see them perform against one of the best defenses in the NFL, which the Jacksonville Jaguars have, before I can bank on them, before I can back them. So that's going to be my concern here in this game. I think the under makes a little bit of sense as well, because I think it's going to take time. But I will say this now. I've got some decent expectations positively for the New York Giants as the season goes on. It may not pay dividends right away, but they are going to get so much better coached on a weekly basis, it's not even funny. Pat Shurmur is such an upgrade from Ben McAdoo, a complete buffoon, a complete imbecile on the sidelines on a weekly basis. They're going to get much better coaching from Pat Shurmur on a weekly basis, much better preparation, and a much better awareness of what the hell is going on.
All right, and what's your take on Blake Bortles? Because, of course, Blake Bortles' futility in his career with Jacksonville was the reason that they were such a great fade at times. They had great defenses. They had, a nice roster around him, but Bortles would just give games and leads away or not even be able to get leads, and he would actually put up big passing numbers when Jacksonville was down early. Do you think that Bortles is going to continue to be a major liability for Jacksonville, or do you expect him to make some kind of unexpected improvement this year?
I'm not sure, because I'll tell you right now, there is no other word that you can use to describe Blake Bortles preseason other than he stunk. He was terrible. He was absolutely brutal. 2 interceptions in that preseason start for him in Week 3. He was absolutely dreadful, inaccurate with the football, not reading the defense properly, and it was a major issue for him in that Week 3 walkthrough game. And this is a guy that really carried by his defense last year on the way to the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. So I do not trust Blake Bortles here in this game or to begin the season against this New York Giants defense. So to me, the only way I would go in this game, side or total, is under the total. There are some 44s out there. That would be lean there.
All right, interesting, Ian Cameron. And another open-ended question for you, Ian Cameron. Any general thoughts from the preseason? Anything you saw, anything you read, anything someone told you, anything you heard that might give a little indication, insight into possible betting value early in the upcoming season? What did you notice from the preseason that caught your eye you think is interesting?
Well, I'm hoping and thinking still that the Tennessee Titans offense might be better this season because they got rid of Mike Mularkey and an abysmal offensive coordinator in Terry Robisky that was still calling plays like it was 1985 in the NFL. That was totally disgraceful as far as I'm concerned. We're not playing kitty by the door football now like it was in the 80s. We're throwing the ball a bit. He didn't seem to realize that. So it's a situation where I think with a new coaching staff, Matt LaFleur coming over as base coordinator offensively with the Rams last year. He's now in Tennessee. I think they're going to get better at some point, but it does concern me that Marcus Mariota and this offense stumbled as badly as they did in the preseason. So maybe it's tempered my enthusiasm a little bit. And I'll tell you what, if Marcus Mariota doesn't take that next step forward this season with, I think, a better offensive coaching staff and better people to prepare each week around him, that's going to be an indictment as maybe a viable start number one quarterback in this league. This is put up or shut up time for Marcus Mariota, and the preseason early results have not been overly promising from his standpoint.
All right. Thanks so much, Ian. Is that it? Is that all you want to share with us from the preseason? Thoughts from the preseason? Anything else?
I do want to say one thing. The Saints, just a backup quarterback situation behind Drew Brees has been disastrous in the season. Tom Savage hasn't played well. Taysom Hill, the former BYU quarterback, hasn't played well. I love the trade to get Teddy Bridgewater from the New York Jets today. They could look at him, if he stays healthy, as a maybe successor to Drew Brees, as a viable backup quarterback, that if something were to happen injury-wise to Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater can now step in there and at least perform adequately for the Saints. What a great job by the New Orleans Saints to get that trade done with the New York Jets, because they could go into the season with Taysom Hill and Tom Savage battling it out in a battle of futility behind Drew Brees going into the season.
I agree with you completely. I like the Saints roster in general. I think it's very deep. I was looking to play on them early in the preseason, and I think that depth will really serve them well heading into the NFL regular season. And I agree with you. Great trade, great acquisition to get Bridgewater to back up Drees. Totally agree with you, Ian Cameron. Thanks so much for all your insights. Thanks for putting your neck out and giving us a bunch of official plays in the inaugural Presnap Reads show here on the Football Betting Daily Network at SBR Videos. Of course, tomorrow will be the first college football segment hosted by Drew Martin. On Friday will be the first NFL segment hosted by Jimmy the Bag. And then next week, the week after that, we'll do this all over again. We'll be back on Wednesday doing Pre-Snap Reads with Ian Cameron. Hopefully the tech issues will be solved with Joe Gavazzi, and it'll be another great show all around next week. College, NFL, Pre-Snap Reads. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.